This is Zolo Mansions, a special Zolo Mansions. I had to do it. It was important that we addressed certain issues. It's almost like a continuation from Monday's REWZoWhat show. So I brought my homeboy on. Talented brother. You know how I do this. I got to promote things. The first thing I'm going to promote, I gotta give him love right off the rip. Omar NY. I'm rocking it right now. Take a look. From the Omar t-shirt collection. How do you get to Omar? You go to, what is that? RAMOMARNY.com. RAMOMARNY.com. He has a whole new servicing, situation, fulfillment center. Ooh, look at Carrie Hilson. Ooh, in the name of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, that girl looked like a brand new pack of Now Laters. Unopened. What's your favorite Now Later? Watermelon, pineapple, apple. Yeah, she's looking delicious. Do you have any more of his? Please put them up. Put them up. I want to see. Put them up. Damn. Look, ooh, Lord have mercy. In the new collection from Omar. I love it, bruh. I love it. He's on the show today. Listen, another brother hit me up. And, I do my best to shout people out. You can't see this right here. It's actually green. And because of the green screen, you can't see the true color of this shoe. But the shoe is called Truemonger, right? Trew Monger, Mongr, Truemonger. The brother, the brother sent me a pair of these shoes, and I just wanted to shout him out real quick and say, good luck on your business endeavor, brother. Truemonger. We appreciate you for sending these out. Thank you so much. Now, total package energy. You know I be on total package energy. You know that I'm on total package energy. I'm on it. Because I got shit to do. I got a lot of projects going. I got things to do. And I need the energy by which to complete these things. So, 0 carbs, 0 sugars, 0 crash, 0 jitters, and B vitamins, amino acids. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not in shape, if you're not healthy, don't drink total package energy. Okay? You got fat and juice and liquid around your heart. Don't drink total package energy because it's got a little yohimbi in it. It's for healthy people. No disrespect to the sick and shut in. I'm just saying, don't buy it if that ticker ain't right.
What they call us healthy. When you big, they call you healthy.
I'm just, not when you big. I'm just saying, like, it's for healthy people. If you got underlying issues, it might not work for you. It's like COVID. Right? So again, total package energy, and they also have total package protein. They have a new product, total package protein. Get the protein. If you're working out during quarantine, if you understand what I'm saying? If you have a regimen to stay busy, to stay active, and you're eating right, this is a great supplement. Total package protein. Again, it's vegan, no sugars, Very good stuff. Everybody that's coming in here, please, 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 please hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the super chat button, share this video. We about to go in on why black is king. Also, don't forget to get my books, The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship. My 2015 release. It is available exclusively on Amazon.com in 3 different formats: Kindle, Audible, and paperback. Go cash mob that movement right now. Hit the like button, hit the share button, get everybody involved. Share it, like it, super chat it. Tell everybody we about to go in and we about to go ham and eggs. This topic is a very serious and very important topic. So go do it, go do it, go do it. Don't forget, Amazon.com, The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship. And while you're there, pick up the follow-up to that book, 2019, The Holographic Relationship, where I outline relationship entanglement. Yes, I wrote the book that was the first to speak on relationship entanglement. I was in an entanglement. No, you were in an entanglement. The angle of the dangle. Sorry. The Holographic Relationship. Go get it right now. If you want the paperback copy version of the book, you got to go to my website, IamZoWilliams.com. Also, something big is coming around the first week of September. The University of You Masterclass. Zoe Williams University of You Masterclass. 30 million people unemployed. The unemployment benefits are running out. Right? The unemployment benefits are running out. So, and people are reaching out for coaching, but they can't afford what the normal coaching fee would be. So what I decided to do was do a master class. And in this master class, we're going to cover 4 hours worth of relationship concepts from my various books, the books that are already out and the book that is yet to come out. 4 modules. Each module is an hour long. And here's the most important part. We cut the price by 80%. We cut the price by 80% so people can afford it. We want everybody, all 62,000 subscribers. When I drop this link next week, we want everybody to purchase this masterclass. It's going to be on Zoom. You're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to participate. It's a big deal. It's my coaching at 80% minus the cost. So please jump in, tell everybody about it. Join my IG page so you can follow the promos when we start pushing it next week. Also, what else do I have? Oh, hurricane report. You can't pull that up either, can you? The hurricane report, HURIKANE. The hurricane report. Google it, write it, take action, maintain freedom. H-report.news. I usually read it. H-report.news. Go there right now, support the movement, get on it right now. You know what? It's not enough people in here right now. And you know why? Because the name of this show isn't correct.
Oh.
Can you?
I'll do it right now. I'm sorry.
Yes, put up Zolo Mansions.
Okay.
Black is King.
Okay.
SG. Omar Buckley from Ram Omar. Let's get it cracking. All right. I think I've promoted enough. Let's bring the homie Omar into the fray. Let's put him on.
Omar, you ready? Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Let's put him on right now. Omar, got his mask on and everything. If you don't have your mask yet, go to ramomarny.com and get your mask. My man is killing the game right now. Omar, turn him up so I can hear him.
Okay.
Omar, check this out, bro. Let's just deal with it. Why is everybody tripping on Beyonce? Why is everybody saying she's a devil worship? Why is it that every time black people represent a aspect of our culture, it be black people yelling we devil worshipers more than anybody else? Why is that the case, Omar?
First of all, you have to. The first thing I would say is you have to realize the brainwashing that took place during slavery was never undone. You have to understand that it's almost like you train people to be a certain way. Look at the PTSD soldiers go through from just going to Iraq for a few years and come back not normal. So, and they need therapy to go back to normal. So you have people that been through something for 400 years, and after the Emancipation Proclamation, they say y'all free now. They didn't give any therapy, any any way to help. But they just let them out and say y'all free now, and no PTSD to help the people that suffered for hundreds of years. So fast forward now 150 years since then, our people are still going through traumas from that. So a lot of stuff that they forgot about themselves will now scare them since it's being reintroduced for the first time. So it's almost like throwing somebody in cold water. They get a little scared, but eventually it takes time and the body will become amalgamated to the thinking they used to have. But it takes time. Yeah, first of all, the first thing you have to do, you have to accept you were brainwashed. If you think you were never brainwashed, that's the first sign to tell you were brainwashed. So I know I can be brainwashed. But if you think, oh, I'm never brainwashed, I can never be brainwashed, that's most likely means you are. The fact you're saying that. So first thing you have to do is acknowledge you can be brainwashed and you were a victim of brainwashing. If you think you're not a victim of brainwashing, that means the brainwashing is working.
You think you are unaffected. Now, in America, we were brainwashed by Jim Crow, by slavery, by the system of white supremacy. In Africa, the same system of white supremacy exists, but it's not called what we call it. It's called colonialism. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the way the colonialists came into Africa, they basically recarved the continent, and they basically had tribes that were connected for thousands of years. All of a sudden, they put borders separating tribes. That eventually causing civil war. The French has certain places, the German has certain places, the British has certain places. It's basically the divide and conquer method. So when you understand that now, when apartheid came in, again, they gave no remedy. They just lifted apartheid and say, y'all back to normal now. And they still didn't give any remedies to the issues they created over time. So the people in Africa are going through similar trials. They're just more westernized now. They're more trying to chase the Western culture's ideal, and they are trying to distance themselves from their ancestral past.
Distance themselves from their ancestors. So that you telling me that the white man has made knowledge of self evil, knowledge of your culture, knowledge of your oral traditions, knowledge of your story evil?
Well, I wouldn't say they made it evil. They make sure you have no interest in it. They make sure that your focus is now amalgamating yourself to Western ideals, Western civilization, and anything that came before is left in fog, is screened by smoke. All the while, they're the ones doing all the archaeology work. They're doing the scholarship work. Universities are sending excavations around the world to different cultures. They're reading up on this stuff while we're just entertained by the culture they're putting before our eyes. While they're telling us to forget the past, they're digging up in the past and keeping our eyes blinded with the modern system that they want us to stay focused on.
Oh my God. But are they fans of our culture? Are they, like I say, there's two ways to describe the schizophrenic experience that white people have when dealing with black folk all over the world. It's negrophilia. They love black people. And it's negrophobic. They scared of black people at the same time. So it seems like they want to be a part of what was ours originally, but at the same time, they're afraid of us regaining that knowledge and that love. What do you think?
Of course, of course. I always compare it to, this is what I always tell friends. I said, you have a dog cult. The lion cults have their practices, the way they do things, and you have the dog group that have practices in the way they do things. All of a sudden, the lion environment wasn't doing as well. Food was getting scarce. The dog group over the hill, they're doing good. Lions decided, let's start following the dog group to see if we can get some of that prosperity on them. But when you join the dog group, you're encouraged to stop roaring.
Ooh.
You're encouraged to cut your mane off,
Wow.
just to amalgamate to dog society. And then now you have to also look to the dog deities to help lion society.
That's crazy.
People, huh?
That's crazy. They trained lions to be dogs. They trained lions to aspire to want to live like dogs. They trained lions to covet dog culture?
Yeah.
God damn. This is frustrating because when Beyonce dropped Black is King, she got attacked by mainly the Christian contingent.
Yes.
That it was evil, that it was devil worship. They said the horns on her head represented Baphomet.
Yeah.
Is that true?
First of all, the Baphomet insignia is not even a cow, it's a goat. So goat horns and cow horns, bull horns, cattle horns are not the same horns. Just like you have rhino horns, elephant have tusks, the horns are not the same. So if you're trying to drag another creature onto a creature she's wearing, it's not even the same. You're comparing apples to oranges. It's not this. It's horns, but it's not the same type of horns. So first of all, she's wearing cattle horns. And when you study what the cattle horns signify in ancient African thought, not just in Kemet or Nubia, but West Africa, southern parts of Africa, even in India, they have a sacred cow today. It's not the association they are telling us it's associated with. The superstition is what's leading them to say what they're saying. They've been trained to react a certain way to anything that will remind them of themselves. They're trained to reject it. So we understand that they almost did the programming so well now. When you try to tell a lion to roar, they don't want to roar anymore. That's basically the program is so deep. You tell a lion to grow its mane again, they're stuck trying to be like the dogs. So it's like an uphill battle trying to get lions to grow their fangs again because they shave down their teeth to be docile around the dog community. And then me and you are trying to encourage the lions, start growing your teeth back, start growing your mane back, and start to roar. So when you present that to the people who are under the conditioning, they're rejected. They're going to say, no, growing the mane back is evil. Growing our teeth back is bad. Roaring again is scary. We should stay away from roaring.
Wow.
So their reaction to it is a lack of understanding of themselves, where they come from, and the ancient knowledge your ancestors preserved, left behind for them to reignite one day, which is what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to reintroduce these ancient concepts and break it down in a way where it's not as taboo or scary. So what I'll say to that is, first of all, the cow horns represented something the ancients observed. They observed, because you have to understand, you have to go back in time. You have to go back in time before writing. Everything was oral tradition. There were two main sources of wealth at the time. You had goat and cattle. So in pre-dynastic Africa, what fed most of the population at the time was cattle meat or goat meat. So in pre-dynastic Africa, the people who had the largest farmlands, they had more of those creatures to graze on those lands. And the larger territory you had, you were more considered a chief. So a chief at that time would have thousands of goats, and they would have people that oversee those goats. And in other parts of the land, you will have other chiefs with thousands of cattle. You had bulls that they used to fertilize to impregnate the female cows. But at that time in pre-dynastic Africa, cattle and goats were symbols of power and authority. So we're trying to associate now. These animals became associated with wealth. Even to this day, you go to Wall Street, where all the money is made, they have a bull there.
A bullish market, yeah.
The bull market. So that started in ancient Africa. Bulls, grazing, land, all that represented wealth at the time. So we understand that concept. Everybody wanted to be associated with bulls.
Wait. Omar.
The less goats you have, you can say somebody.
Omar, hold on one second. You froze up a little bit. Go back 2 sentences and say it again, because I don't want nobody to miss a word you're saying.
Well, I'm saying at that time, bulls and goats or cattle were symbols of wealth. So at that time, you wanted to be associated with goats. You wanted to be associated with bulls. So these creatures end up having mythology grafted to them to magnify their importance in the society at the time.
Hold
so
on,
they created
Omar.
mythology behind cattle. They created a mythology behind goats. And later on, during the dynastic period in Africa, the dynastic period is when things started to be written down, started to be carved in stone. Basically, I call it receipts. Receipts are being created now, so it's not just oral tradition anymore. So your future descendants can go back in time and read what you wrote. So it's not just if an elder dies and he's gone, the knowledge is not lost. So during the dynastic period, when they unified the culture, they were able to unify one language. Now they could write these things down. So during the early period, bulls became a symbol of power. The kings always wanted to be associated with bulls. Bulls represented fertility. Bulls represented strength. When you look at bulls, the male bulls particularly, they always look strong. They always look like they're in the gym. They always have veins. They always look like power. They're always virile. They're always fertile. So the chiefs now wanted to be associated with bulls. So that during the early period, what you notice about the pharaohs, they started wearing bull tails on their regalia. So that bull tail represented him trying to associate himself with the power of a bull. So today, the same person who are superstitious might say, "Oh, he's wearing a bull because he's worshiping the devil." What? He's wearing a bull's tail because he wants to worship the devil. That's what they would almost tell you today, because they don't know what they're talking about. But as I just stated, the bull became a symbol of power, symbol of strength, symbol of wealth. So they literally would wear bull tails on the back of their aprons to associate themselves with the bull. So now for the females now, they also wanted to be associated with female cow. The female cow had attributes that women could relate. First of all, they were almost, you could say, prettier. If you look at female cows, they have these big eyes, eyelashes. So they always have this feminine feature to them. They had breasts like women. So they were always associated with motherhood, being a female, being a mother. They always were overprotective of their calf, just like mothers in real life are overprotective of their children. So when you understand now that the ancients are putting attributes that they see in themselves on these animals, that's all they're doing. They're not worshiping a cow or worshiping a bull. They're just putting attributes that we want to associate with them because we see what they do and we want to associate back to ourselves. So when you understand how they thought back then, it's not a form of worship. It's a form of, It's a form of personification. They're trying to put human traits on animals and put animal traits on humans.
Would that be like anthropomorphic or anthropomorphizing?
Well, in the art, they did the anthropomorphic. They would merge the human form with the animal form. But that doesn't mean they were worshiping a bull or worshiping a bird or worshiping a cow. As I said, they're trying to draft human characteristics on animals and animal characteristics on humans that they wanted to have on themselves. So for example, the king, he wants to be fertile because he wants to create heirs for the throne. So the animal that was always fertile and strong and had virile fertility to impregnate females were bulls. So his association with the bull was trying to associate that virility with himself to create heirs to maintain the kingdom after he's gone. So basically, he's associating the power of a bull. He's literally trying to put it onto himself. So when women saw him, they would call him a great bull. His wife will say, my consort is strong as a bull. But that doesn't mean the king or the man is literally a bull. It's the traits and association with a bull he's putting on himself. So I'm just trying to make you get into the mindset of how they thought back then.
So let's go deeper. What exactly does Het-Heru mean?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Het-Heru. So what I'll say to that is, Het in the Medu Neter means mansion or a temple.
Yeah.
The Egyptian word for house is per, like you have per-ah, the great house or the high house. So that's per means house. Het is a temple. So when you see the word Het, it represents a temple or a mansion of a particular principle you're trying to enclose in something. So Het is symbolized by a square, which is the enclosure walls around temples. So Het means a temple or mansion. Again, let me signify it. Per means house. So we have to separate the two terms. Like your house is called a per. Your house is not called a Het. The temples of the deities, though, those are called temples, which is Het. Those are mansions of deities. So Het-Heru, the Het in her title is a mansion, not a house. And Heru in the Medu Neter represents light, represents day. So when you combine Het and Heru, it basically means the mansion of light or temple of light, or today, most people call it house of light. But that's how most people associate with today. But back then, I'm just trying to give the difference between Per, which is house, and Het, which is a mansion or temple. It's two different sizes. How you're talking about a small apartment compared to an entire estate. A Het is an estate, land, fields, build big temples, columns associated with that. A Per is a house for you and your family. So it's not Per-Heru, which would be the house of light, it's Het-Heru, the mansion of light.
So why do people attribute this to devil worship? How did devil worship get incorporated into what Beyonce is trying to convey in terms of being in alignment with our culture? How did this turn into devil worship? How did this turn into you worshiping the devil got horns, the devil is a goat? How did that happen?
Well, first of all, so when you watch Black is King, the first thing you have to remember, this is a modern reinterpretation of the Lion King story. That's basically what she was presenting. She's doing her version, a modern version, with music, song, and dance of the Lion King story. So that's the first thing. And one thing you'll notice is in the beginning of the film, when you watch the film again, you'll notice the first song, she highlights the moon behind her every couple frames. Every couple frames, I just watched it before we started speaking. Every couple frames you'll see behind her, she keeps highlighting the crescent moon. Over and over, when you watch it again, you'll know she keeps highlighting the moon, the moon, the moon, the moon. And the main deity the moon was associated with in ancient time is Het-Heru. So now, when you look, so what you have to understand now, when you look at the moon has phases during the month. Matter of fact, the word month comes from the term moon. Because the moon takes the 28-day cycle, and that's how you know a month went by. So that's where we get the modern term moon. It comes from the month. It comes from the word moon. So what the ancients would notice about the moon is it would go from full moon, half moon, crescent moon, no moon. And it would always repeat for every 28, 30 days. What they would notice now is women would get fertile around a certain period when the new moon started. They would become fertile and ready to have intercourse. There's something the ancients, not just in Africa, but no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in Asia, China, the Americas, the Middle East, Africa, they noticed that the moon seemed to have an influence over the female reproductive system. So with that, the ancients started putting together the moon has something to do with femininity. Just like how they associated the sun with masculinity. They noticed men have association with the sun, and then they put females, they said women are associated with the moon. So the first thing you have to notice is women get fertile, they get pregnant, then they become mothers. So the ancients would say the moon somehow had influence over females. The female will get pregnant, and months later now, after 9 moon cycles, she gave birth to a child. So now the moon became associated with motherhood. It became associated with fertility. And then now on Earth, the animals that the ancients observed that had the same attributes were cattle or cows. As I said previously, cows had breasts. They were overprotective of their children. And then they had these elaborate horns, these white horns. And the ancients noticed these horns were shaped like the crescent moon. The new moon, when the moon has the letter, like it looks like letter C. In fact, the letter C, what we see in the alphabet, comes from the moon.
Right.
From the crescent of the moon. The letter D comes from a half moon. That's when we look at the movie DreamWorks Studios. When the logo comes up, it's a half moon. Because the letter D literally comes from the half moon. The letter O comes from the sun. So that's just giving a backstory of some of the words in the alphabet. So the C letter, what we see in the alphabet, is literally a crescent moon after A or Aleph. So the ancients associated that crescent shape with the moon, and they noticed the animal on Earth that had feminine attributes that women could associate it with. So they literally started putting the crescent moon and cattle horns together as a symbol. Then what the moon does, the moon doesn't create its own light. What it does is it takes light from the sun and reflects it back to us. So they said the moon holds light. The moon doesn't create light, it holds it. So the moon is a holder of light. So the word for that again, the word for light in Egyptian is Heru. So the moon holds Heru. The moon becomes a house or a mansion of light, a mansion of Heru. Het-Heru.
Now, the Christians will take light to be, I mean, they have multiple meanings for it, but oftentimes light goes back to Lucifer.
Yeah. Yes.
Talk about the distinction between how the people from the continent use light in a positive sense versus how it became negative in a westernized sense.
Well, first of all, the word Lucifer, you have to go back to Latin. The word for light in Latin is lux.
Lux.
So the
yes.
first word in Lucifer is lucifer. Cipher in Latin means bringer, to bring. So when you combine lux and cipher, you get lucifer, which means light bringer or bringer of light. Just like in another form of the same word, Christ cipher became the word Christ, which is Christ. Cipher means bringer. So Christ cipher became Christopher. So you have Lucifer means light bringer. Christopher means Christ bringer, which is what Christopher Columbus literally came with. He came to the new world bringing the new religion. He's a Christ bringer. He's bringing Christ to the new world. So that's just the little word play that people have to be aware of when they use these words. They have to know what these words mean, so they're not just going by what, you have to study Latin, study Greek, study Hebrew, Coptic,
right,
different languages, so you can start to understand what you're saying, the spells you're using out of your mouth, because words are spells.
Right.
So Lucifer means light bearer or to bring light. And at the time, especially during the Middle Ages, they were in the dark. Europe went into a period that they call the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages is a time when they lost the ability to read ancient Greek. They didn't have the ability to study ancient languages anymore. Europe was basically in the Dark Ages. But there were certain groups of people that had certain information. They had certain information from the ancient world. Certain groups that they would come to be known as Knights Templars. So these people had information that they were able to pick up and keep on the underground, because at the time Christianity was the dominant religion, and they didn't want anything to challenge Christianity. So you have to always go underground with ancient mysticism and wisdom. So anybody who was associated with ancient thought ancient wisdom, they were called, another way of calling them is Luciferians.
A heretic too. Yeah,
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 heretic,
absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, anybody who is dabbling in anybody who is dabbling into any type of mysticism, wisdom that goes against the Bible, is called a Luciferian.
Exact. Or even a scientist. Remember Galileo?
Yeah.
The
Galileo
work that he was doing.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
he was
Yes.
considered a heretic once people found out what he was doing. Even Sir Isaac Newton.
Yes.
He had to
Yes.
keep all of that, the mysticism and alchemy and all of these side
Yes.
beliefs that the church didn't authenticate. He had to keep
Yes.
that secret, or he could have been
Yes.
killed.
Yeah, they'll burn you at the stake. They'll burn you at the stake for witchcraft.
Exactly.
They'll say you're a witch, you're practicing black magic, and it's against God, and they'll burn you at the stake in public. So that forced certain groups that had information to go underground.
Mhm.
They created codes, they created symbols. They would join builders guild. They'll help build churches. They had secret symbols they would use to identify each other, just because they wanted to hold on to this information, but they also wanted to blend in with the public. So it created a group called they call them secret societies.
So
Yeah.
when you talk about the secret societies, you talked about the Knights Templars, you talked about
Yeah.
the Masons. Now the history or the Freemasons. The history of the Freemasons, we know from just reading books that are available in libraries and bookstores all over the world. They will say that the origin of the Freemasons is Europe. The Mother Lodge is in England somewhere. Now, when you look at the symbology of Masonry, a lot of it comes out of ancient Kemet,
Yeah.
right? So how the Mother Lodge found its way to be located in England is beyond me. But a lot of Christians will view Masonry as evil,
Yeah.
when in fact the Mason uses symbols of what is known as an objective Mason. An objective Mason is somebody who actually knows how to cut stone and lay it. The Freemasons are called subjective Masons.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is saying, I'm using the tools of an actual castle builder or a pyramid builder or a temple builder to build my internal temple. All right, we back. Listen, we ain't even got internet over here. We gonna make it happen though without internet. We streaming. This is weird. I don't know how we're doing it, but we're streaming without internet. We gonna make it happen. But let me tell you what's gonna happen. After this broadcast is over, my engineering team is gonna piece all of the pieces of this show back together and put the full version up on my YouTube channel. But let me say this before we jump right back into it. Y'all got to hit the super chat button. This content is too crazy. Y'all got to hit the Cashapp. As a matter of fact, if you're learning something from Omar, here is his Cashapp. $Ramomar. That's RAMOMAR. $RAMOMAR. Ramomar. All right? Please support the brother. Support me as well. And stop warming up to support. Support off rip. It's like y'all stretching or something. Support the movement, please. Now, let's get back into it because you were just wrapping up. I think we were on Masonry and, the symbols that are used to build a perfect self. And how all of this stuff was taken from the continent. So I come back to you and I say to you now, how do we reclaim what was lost? What's the first step in the reclamation of your original storytelling, your story? How do you claim authorship of your story?
The first thing I will say is, as I said in the beginning, you have to acknowledge you've been brainwashed. If you don't acknowledge that, you're not going to open yourself up to taking information. Once you think you're fine and you're thinking straight, you know everything that needs to be known, you're literally blocking. So you have to first acknowledge that you were brainwashed, and that's the first step. If you can't do that, you're wasting your time. That's the first step.
So let me ask you.
You're basically programmed to keep a wall up, to block anything out, block any explanation out. It's this, it's the devil. All they're gonna pray for you. They basically have reflexes. They all say the same thing. Millions of people say the same thing because they're programmed with the same program, and they'll give you the same. Oh, I'm not gonna believe that. That's Satan. That's evil. That's demonic. They're basically all of them are gonna say the same thing like clockwork. That's how you know they're programmed. The person that stays quiet and maybe listen, they're trying to break the programming. So that's the first sign. They're not trying to dismiss anything. So you have to first acknowledge you're brainwashed. Then that's the step to open up your mind to take in information, and maybe some of the nonsense, the spookism, the superstition that's been packed in your subconscious will start to fizzle away. So I would say that's the first step. If you can't do that, you're wasting your time. You're talking to a brick wall.
Right.
They're just going to tell you they're going to pray for you and keep it moving that day. That's all they're going to say.
Right. And in relationship coaching, it's the same thing. Before you can have any real healing, you got to acknowledge what's wrong. A lot of times we spend more time running away from what we know we need to work on, and we'll make excuses for not looking at ourselves. We will be the biggest and the baddest and the most expert blamers for what is happening to us, and then we'll run from the path that leads to healing, which is claiming. This is the thing they teach in Alcoholics Anonymous. In Alcoholics Anonymous, the first thing you got to say is, hi, my name is Whoop-de-Whoop, and I'm an alcoholic. You have to acknowledge what you are at your current state of development. Now, I call that reaching the consciousness of becoming a claimer. Yeah.
You're claiming what you are now so you can now move to what you want to become. If you didn't claim what you are, you don't even know what you want to become yet.
Right. Right. No, that's 100%. Let me ask you this. I want you to go in on how the comic books have taken the African gods and turned them into superheroes.
Oh, okay. So when I grew up, I was very into the art. Remember, I'm an artist, so the art that I loved was storytelling art. And in the modern world, sequential art, which is frame by frame story, like storyboard, was done in the comic book industry. So for years, I would always go to the comic book store, for many years, in my early years, my teenage years. And I would always, you come back year after year, you're like, after a while, I started questioning, why am I coming back year after year to these same characters, to these same superheroes? How many stories you have to read about Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman? How many of them do you have to, the story of the character, but people keep coming back. And they're bringing offerings each week. They're bringing their purchase money to purchase the next story for this character. So I was questioning myself, why am I coming back to this every week? So one day I was in a store and they had this strange issue. I was walking through the store in New York. They had an issue of Batman on one side and the Egyptian deity Anubis, all black, both had pointy ears, and they were versus each other. And I think you can Google it. I think you can Google a Batman versus Anubis DC comic book. You might pull it up on Google. And that comic was very interesting to me. It was like they had an ancient deity, all black, pointy ears, versus a modern superhero, all black with pointy ears. And that was my first inkling when I saw that issue. I never forget it, because that issue just made me like, oh, why would they do that? So months later, what I've come to find out is what they have done, because after I did some more study and research at that time, what I've come to find out is the way people are dedicated to the ancient deities, the ancient divine principles, people bring offering to various temples. First of all, when you deal with these deities, you have to remember is these are not gods. You're not praying to this god over there. You have to think of it. You have a whole body, and within the body of organs. The body is one, so there's like one God. There's one creator. But within the creator, there are different functions.
Right.
You have the lungs that do this.
Right.
Your intestines that do this. Your heart that does this. Everything within this one body does different functions. You can't call everything the same name. You can't call the heart the heart. You can't call the heart the heart. You can't call the lung a heart. You have to name each function a different name. So when you look at these deities, they're in one body, but you're speaking of different aspects of the one creator.
Right.
Just like you have different organs doing different functions within one body.
Right.
So when you talk about these gods, that's literally what they represent. They're the different aspect, innate, manifested nature of the one creator.
Right.
So that's what people have to get into their head. Is not, you can't pray to the heart and think you're a heart worshiper and forget the lung or forget, it's like you can't choose one organ. It's a part of a whole.
Right.
It's a part of a whole system. So you have to learn each part to get the whole.
Right.
So today, people are focusing on these cow horns, and that's just one part. The reason the horns might scare you is because you don't have a full view of all the other organs, and the cow horns is just one part of that picture. So you have to study the different organs, what their different function is, the different deities, what they represent, and when you see that, you'll get the whole picture of them. So now, get back to these superheroes. When I realized what they were doing with these superheroes is, they were repackaging ancient mythology. For example, in Kemet, you have the god Tehuti, called thought. By the time thought is adapted, or as you would say, stolen later on, he was symbolized by ibis bird and a baboon in Kemet, because ibis bird had the beak like ink, baboons had hands that could write. So he's the deity of writing and knowledge. If you can write, you're a smart person. If you're smart, you're associated with wisdom. And that those creatures had those attributes that humans saw in themselves. So by the time that deity from Kemet got adopted later on, he was called Hermes or Hermes. Hermes. And Hermes, he was a messenger god. He could go from point A to point B in an instant. He's the messenger of the gods. When Zeus needed a message to be sent to Earth, he will send Hermes down with the message. So Hermes almost can go from point A to point B and meet up, symbolically. So he's the fastest person. And Hermes has little wings on his ears, and he has little wings on his feet that help him fly and go fast. When they repackaged this character with the little wings on his ears, he became the Flash.
Look at that.
He goes from point A to point B in 2.5 seconds. He has little wings on his ears, just like the deity Hermes. So that's an example of how, I just fast forwarded, how they took a mythology, a divine principle from the ancient world that represented speed, represented knowledge, being traveling wisdom from point A to point B, and turned into this modern character called the Flash.
Now wait, stop. Before you move forward.
Yeah.
And they will teach you that your version of it is demonic. While Stan Lee is over here creating a whole movie, the Justice League, and do you see what I'm saying? Like, they will capitalize off of your culture while at the same time demonizing it. See, that's where the lack of morality is. And we be sitting in church going, that's the devil, and the devil created this, and these are familiar spirits and demons. Have you ever looked up the word demon and where it comes from, its origin? Whenever you're referencing a European language, please understand that's going to fortify your brainwashing. Because you're not the European tongue is younger than every one of them.
Yeah.
Talk to me, man. Keep going.
Yeah. So the first thing you'll notice they do when they're trying to brainwash you is to cut the language, like you just said. The language, they have to teach lions to stop roaring. When you understand that concept, that's the first thing you have to do. The roar activates a certain part of their DNA to connect them to the past generations of lions. Basically, the lion ancestors. The language itself is a Wi-Fi connection that activates something within you to your past predecessor.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about lions mainly because Black is King is referencing Lion King. So we're trying to tie all this in together.
Right.
So the first thing they want to do is teach lions not to roar. That's the first thing. Once you do that, you mute them. That mute now almost severs their connection to their past.
Wow.
And
So
literally,
wait.
umbilical cord is cut with that.
So wait. Now, using that same metaphor of the lion, number one, I take the lion roar as your authentic original voice.
Exactly.
They
That's
took
what
your voice away,
Yeah.
and now you're a lion speaking the linguistic symbols of a dog. So whatever the dog spell is, you speaking it, and the sound of your original voice hurts. You don't even like the way it sounds.
Anymore, exactly.
Damn, keep going, brother.
Yeah, so when you understand that's what they've done to our people all over the world, whether it's, in the Americas and the Caribbean, the severing of the language is the first key to open them up for brainwashing. Because now they've lost a part of themselves. When they sever that, now they're searching for something else. They're open to any type of information now. Once you cut that language off, now you can tell them some other story, some other belief system, and because they have nothing else to look back on, they're going to accept it wholeheartedly. Oh,
Now,
you're not human. You're part animal. You're part monkey. You don't have a soul.
right.
They can justify the way they treat you now, and you're almost going to believe it.
Now, you know what's
literally gonna believe
crazy?
it.
You know what's crazy, Omar? The European likes to brag about the Far East. And they conquered India. They like to brag about India, right? India. But a lot of the Indian belief system, the spiritual belief systems, come out of the continent.
Yeah.
When we migrated out of the continent, we populated those areas, and we brought our original voice there too and established their belief systems. You know what's interesting about language and linguistics? Whenever you get a book that talks about the mother tongue, they will tie in the European language to all the Eastern languages, whether it be Turkish, Arabic, Hindu. They'll say, yeah, Hindu has a root in Greek, but they never tie it into Africa. You know why? Because they don't want you looking at the dialect from Africa, the languages from Africa. Because if you go back there, you're going to uncover the real truth. So they will keep the mother tongue out of it and then tie themselves into the Eastern tongues. Have you noticed that? Go ahead.
Well, basically what you're describing is they're trying to prevent you from roaring again, if you want to put it that way.
Ooh.
That's basically the job. They have to prevent you from roaring again. It's almost like they want to make sure you're scared to roar. Oh, I don't want to do that. That's demonic sounds. You're automatically supposed to think that sound, which you came from, is a bad sound. You don't even want to be associated with your old past ancestral self anymore. And basically, that's what we're dealing with. The backlash from what Beyonce have done is people are resisting to look into what they are. So it just shows you the programming is working very well. It's very well. It's on autopilot. They don't have to do anything anymore because now you're programmed to do it to yourself. It's like they don't have to whip you anymore. You'll whip your own self. They don't have to. Everything is on autopilot. They don't have to come grab you to put you in the jail. They programmed you to do things to make yourself walk into the jail now.
Right. And Islam is no different. Islam has done it too.
Yeah.
Listen, the only reason why the Arabian government of Egypt hasn't destroyed the pyramids is because it makes too much fucking money.
Yeah, tourism.
The
Tourism.
tourism.
Is the only reason it's up. Yes.
But you saw what they did in Afghanistan. You saw what they did in the far Middle East when they were out there destroying old temples because they saw it as idol worship.
Yeah.
and in direct conflict of the Deen of Islam,
Yes.
or what is called Deen of Law, right? But again, they're no different. The Muslims are no different than the Christians. I always tell people, be careful of what idea you enroll in. You enroll in the idea of feminism, you become a member of the feminist army. If you enroll in Christianity, you're a member of the Christian spiritual military. If you enroll in Islam, you're a member of that ideological military, and you got to defend it. And now you finding everything wrong with everybody else that doesn't subscribe to your belief system.
Yeah. Yes.
You're a soldier now.
Everybody's an infidel. Everybody's an infidel.
Exactly. Where did they get Thor? Where did Stan Lee get Thor?
Thor is a Norse god from Norse mythology. He's the god of thunder. He's the son of Odin. Basically, what they did is they repackaged, again, Norse gods from Europe, into which those deities were adopted from earlier deities within Africa and the Near East, from Mesopotamia and North Africa. But when the Norse got hold of it, they took the storm god, I believe Baal, and then turned him into this deity called Thor, and he became the new storm god.
Right. And that's the Middle East, right? That's the Middle East, correct?
Yeah.
Now in Africa, you have the Ifa, you have the Yoruba, they have Oya.
Yes.
And Oya, she is the storm deity that to me resembles Storm from the X-Men.
Yeah, Storm from the X-Men, yeah.
Go ahead, brother. Finish.
So, what they, as I said, they basically took another deity, created a franchise. Matter of fact, today is Thursday. Today is really Thursday. The day we're filming this is called Thor's Day.
Yep, but all of our days, right?
After the god Thor.
Oh, but all of our days, correct, come from the North. Monday is Moon Day, Tuesday, Wednesday
is Odin's Day, which is Thor's father, the one-eyed deity.
Look
Odin's
at that.
Day is Wednesday. Friday is Frigga's Day. So, so Saturn is Saturday. Monday is the Moon's Day, getting back to the moon again. And then Sunday is the Sun's Day. So, that's just examples that most people didn't even realize Thursday is the Thor's Day.
Right.
They live their whole life. If you're first time hearing this, today's the day of Thor. We're in the month of August. August is named after the Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar.
Right.
So
and July, Julius.
July was named after Julius Caesar. July for Julius.
Yep.
So that just shows you we're enveloped in their system. And we're blinded to everything else outside of that. They got us in a box, locked and loaded, and they have it on autopilot now. They don't have to do much. Every word you use reinforces their programming, especially when you're using these spells, words that you don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're claiming. You claim you're from this area. You claim you're from this town. All these are European names. You're claiming you're from, which you're not. But in your mind, you think you're from. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from California. All these things, you're saying it without knowing what you're really saying. That's why you really want to study what you're saying. Study the spells you use. Because if you don't, you're putting yourself under spells.
Wow. Now, really quickly.
It's done to maintain their infrastructure, maintain their power.
Right.
And helping them to stay on top of you.
Now, really quickly. Thor, you got that West African deity, Shango.
Shango.
The god of thunder, right?
Yes.
And what Omar is breaking down in such an intricate way, this is the spiritual version and the cultural version of that little girl in that video choosing the white doll over the black doll. That little black girl. This is the spiritual version of that.
Yeah.
Do you see? And so if they told you everything black was evil, dark, mistrustful, gloomy, and now you have that programming in your spirit, when you see yourself, you're not going to see the truth of who you are. You're going to see the definition of how they defined you.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time. Alfred Korzybski, he's a linguist, European linguist. He said the definition is the prison. The definition is the prison. Somebody took your meaning and gave it a different definition. And now, whenever you read the definition, that's why I say, what is a demon? You don't know. And if you go look up the books, none of you authored the etymological dictionaries, none of you authored that. So if you're going to their definitionaries about who you are, of course you're going to be marginalized, and you're going to pull that and internalize that into your spirit. And now, just like Omar said, you're the lion who forgot how to roar, who's speaking dog. What in the Sam hell is going on? Now,
well, there is a remedy. There is a cure.
That's what I was about to ask. What is the cure?
The bad news and the good news is the Creator, Allah, Aman, Zeus, whatever people want to go with, Vishnu, whatever
Brahmin,
you're from.
Olodumare.
Yes.
Yes.
Every creature, including humans, came to fulfill a purpose. So a lion came to be this dominant male. He has a territory. He has these lionesses. He has these cubs. He raised these cubs. Then he has enemies that's trying to take his pride. Then he has to battle younger lions. He might lose. He might win. 10 years later, he's older. He's going to lose to the older lions. So basically, lions have a function in nature. They have a function that they have to fulfill. Each generation of lion basically living out the same cycle, like Mufasa said in the Lion King, going back to Black is King. So each lion has a purpose. Now, when you have a lion that's not fulfilling its purpose, it's like having a football goalie without the goalie. Something is left wide open.
Right.
Because the goalie is not doing his job anymore. The goalie is brainwashed playing video games while the other team's scoring every minute now. They keep kicking the ball in the hole because the lion is not being what it's supposed to be.
Right.
They keep kicking the ball, scoring billions, trillions, just running everything. While the lion is fiddling, playing video games, and looking around, praying to things, hoping for this to happen to them, miracles, and here reading about stories about miracles and waiting for the Savior to come back to get them. Basically, that's what the lions are doing right now. While the goal is open, the lion is not guarding the gate. That's when you look at ancient cultures, lions are always shown in pairs guarding the gates. So they're not guarding and doing their job anymore. Meaning there's an open slot, somebody is filling that slot with what they want, and it's keeping that team winning. So your job is to reignite and get that lion fired up in you again to go back and take up your mantle again. You want to start guarding that gate, guarding the goal, so when they try to kick those balls, you can block them now. And as long as you're brainwashed, you're going to leave the gate open and they're going to keep winning. Period.
Hey, are you familiar with the South African Sunusi, Sangoma? His name is Credo Mutwa. He just passed.
Yeah, Credo Mutwa. Yeah, I've heard him, but I'm not familiar with his works. But I know you're talking about.
Now, what's so powerful about this brother? Because I've been studying him, and I see white people taking advantage of him all the time. He just recently passed.
Okay.
David Icke or David Icke.
David Icke. Yeah.
He was always in his face, getting information, right? And what was so beautiful about what Credo said was, he said Africa ideologically had one belief system. And he was like, even though it was spread across different cultures, the through line of those belief systems were the same thing.
Yeah.
And he was saying, he said, if you look at ancient Egypt, they came from the south. They came from us.
Yeah.
He was like, the true ancient Egyptians are South Africans. This is
They,
our
they
belief
sail
system.
up the Nile. The Nile goes from south to north. So yeah, if you're
Exactly.
following the river, you're going to come from the south up to the northern part. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what he said that really blew me away was he said, Egypt is our little brother. They're the youngest.
Yeah.
And they way more ancient than all of Europe and anybody else. They so far more ancient than anybody else, but they still the South Africans' little brother. That just tore me to pieces. And I'm saying, let's look at the Dogon
Yeah.
and the technology that they had. That how in the hell were they able to see Sirius A, Sirius B, and Sirius C? How did
Well, let's
talk
get
to
back,
us?
Let's get back to Black is King. If you see at the beginning of Beyonce's presentation, the first tribal group she highlights are the Dogon tribe.
Yep.
They are wearing those elaborate masks. Those masks have she customized them to have crystals on them to shine like stars.
Look at that.
Those masks will come out for ceremonies every 60 years to celebrate in the Dogon tribe.
The
And they
Sigi.
would base,
The Sigi, right? Every
Yeah,
60
yeah.
years. Yes.
Yeah. So those masks were ceremonial masks used for rituals every 60 years. They used them for when certain people passed away. They would have certain elaborate funerals and use those masks. But the main thing, you have to go back to the Black is King. The first thing she says at the beginning is, we are celestial.
Mm.
That's the first thing if you watch Black is King. That's the first thing Beyonce says. I'm surprised to hear that from her because when you grow up a Christian, these type of speaking you're not talking like this. So she's been studying. She has somebody she's been studying with to actually even proclaim this. So according to Dogon mythology, our souls, our lives, before you were Zo, before I'm Omar, we were a force. We were a type of existence before we were physical.
Right.
That form of existence is hidden. Just like how we can't see gravity, just like how we can't see the wind until dust particles are caught up in it. We were a hidden force until we entered the womb and our mothers in 9 months built these bodies for us. But the point is, according to the ancient Africans, where did this hidden part of us originate? So according to them, this hidden part of us, called what today we can call it a soul, originated in the heart of a star. So if you go back to Beyonce's Black is King and listen to her carefully, she's literally telling you we're celestial.
Mm-hmm.
Our souls are created in the heart of dying stars. Meaning when a star goes supernova, a supernova star is a star that lived for billions of years and it's at the end of its road, and it goes into this process called supernova. It explodes, and out of it, that explosion, the particles of life is created. So when a star dies, it doesn't really die. It actually died to give new life. Similar to the biblical Jesus died for us.
Exactly.
Same ritual. So according to the Dogon and according to the Kemetic people, our souls are created in the heart of dying stars. And what you'll notice in Black is King again, she has a young child flying from that star down to earth, literally.
Yes.
She has a soul. Basically, the child represents a young soul that fell from the stars towards the earth.
Right.
So according to the mythology, the souls fall from stars, and where they get their vessels is through the woman's womb.
Look at that.
Every person that comes here, your soul coming through this mother, you're basically a fragment of a star. Your soul, you're a star trapped in matter, trying to figure out how to cultivate itself. That's, when you look at list of modern scientists, they keep saying, what's the purpose of life? Why are we here? According to ancient Kemetic mythology, according to Dogon mythology, our souls were cultivated in stars. Star went supernova. Trillions of baby stars are created in that process. Those baby stars fall into heavy matter called human flesh. They're stuck here to learn. You fell into this planet when the planet was suitable for human life. Because for billions of years when the dinosaurs are here, no humans could be here. The air was different, the trees were different, but we came at the right time when the earth is suitable for humans to come, for these souls, these star beings to fall into matter, to learn of themselves.
Now watch this. Omar. Science, cutting edge science, is right in alignment with the African belief.
Yeah.
They right in what you just talked about. We couldn't have lived here with the dinosaurs. You know what the
Yeah.
science is calling it? They call it fine tuning. The earth is so fine tuned, and we talking about down to the subatomic level, that if
Yes.
anything was off just a little bit,
Yeah.
we couldn't
temperature,
live here.
everything. Yeah.
So the earth is fine tuned for human beings to come here and experience God through living, through
Yes,
experiencing,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Then
Your
what
baby-
you said
your baby
earlier-
star, your soul is a fragment. You have to remember, everybody, when you say I'm working on, all right, first of all, the word soul is Latin. So every time you say my
Sun.
soul,
Yeah.
you're saying your sun.
Mhm.
And what is the sun? A sun is light. So every time you say, and what is a sun? A sun is a star. So if you say you have a soul, you have a star.
Right.
You have a piece of a star.
The solar plexus.
Yeah. You have a fragment of a star occupying this flesh. Your job is to try to figure out how to get your soul to escape from this prison, if you want to call it that. This physical bondage. And you only can get to that point through enlightenment, through knowledge.
Now,
Learn, you grow. Not in one life. That's the thing. This is the problem now. This whole you only live once that they've put into people's head.
right.
A soul, a star, when you look at stars, they will live for billions of years. If you now are a fragment of a star, you existed before the body. Now you have a body.
Right.
When you lose the body, you're not done.
Right.
You go back to that state you were before you had a body.
Right.
So
Now-
you're not dead. This
now-
is where ancestor worship comes.
Right.
They lost
Now-
the body, but they went back to their previous self, a fragment of a star,
Now-
aka a light beam. You're
Now-
a fragment of a light now.
Now watch, because you saying some things that tie in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
The Mason will use the sacred name Solomon. Sol,
so-
Om, On.
Mm-hmm.
On was the Greek name of Alexandria, which before that they called it Heliopolis, the city of the
Heliopolis.
sun. Before
Yes.
it was called Heliopolis, it was called On.
Anu, yes.
Yes. So Sol, sun, Om, sun, On, sun, Solomon.
Yeah.
See,
Solomon, yeah.
they know this. See, your shit is evil only to you because you've been brainwashed so you don't tap into the power that makes you you. Now, they've created a whole devil entity. Horns, malignant spirit, all that shit. But brother was just talking about ancestors. I heard Dr. James Small say it so cold. When we talk about the ancestors, he was talking about how you're a fragment of a sun that could be billions of years old. Dr. James Smalls broke it down in an Ifa context. He said it took millions of ancestors on both sides to get you here now, genetically.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
he smacked us in the face and said, guess who your first ancestor is? God. Your first ancestor is God. So
Yes.
now, Omar talked about we lived in a state of energy or consciousness, or it wasn't defined, it wasn't physical. That's the African way, right?
Yeah, yes.
Quantum physics is calling that the unified field. The
Yeah.
unified field of consciousness, the ground of reality. The ancient Kemetic called it Nun, the primordial waters that
Yes.
the mound came up out of. So,
Yeah.
listen, man, you started off with this knowledge. Now they usurped it, stole it, recontextualized it, and now call you a devil worshiper if you try to research it.
Well, first of all, as I mentioned in a post, the word devil is a word spell. It's a backword. It's a word spell backward. When you understand word spells, for example,
Lived.
let me give you an example of a back spell backword. When you stab somebody, right? What comes out of them? You hear me?
When you stab somebody?
Yeah, what comes out of them when you stab them?
Blood.
Exactly. So red liquid comes out of you, right?
Right.
During the medieval period, any liquid was called beer or rum.
Mm.
So when you stab somebody, they will call it red rum. It spills out of you. When you spell red rum backwards, what do you get?
Murder.
Murder.
Oh, really?
Mm.
So that's a word spell. So when I'm talking, I've studied all these words over the years. I know what I'm saying. Another one, devil. When you spell devil backwards, it's lived.
Lived, yes.
Yeah. Somebody who lived is somebody who's passed away. They're a spirit now. They're unseen. Oh, so now when somebody's unseen, spirits are evil devils now. Unseen people, unseen deceased people are called devils. You're a devil worshiper if you believe in spirits or ancestors. It's just people who lived. It's a backward spell. It mirrors.
That's crazy. Listen. Listening to my brother, we be on the phone talking about stuff all the time, and I've always been trying to get his ass on the show. It took me a long time to get him to do this show, and I'm so happy that he was able to just come on, because I've been telling him for years. I've been like, yo, you got a lot of information. You need to come out here. You need to talk about it. And he's opened up since this COVID and started doing some other shows.
Yeah, but the reason I'm opening up now is because when you study humans, when traumatic things happen, they're more open to change. When somebody gets arrested, they're hustling, doing their thing, they're making money, then they get locked up. The trauma of losing all that, then you're in a cage, it opens you. So all of a sudden they convert to Islam, like Malcolm. So trauma opens you up to change. So the world is currently going through a trauma. People are open to new ideas. They can change laws now. They can change sports teams now all of a sudden to new logos. They can put laws out. They can create equality now because people are open to change because this virus that they've been warning you for the last 25 years, all these outbreak, I Am Legend, 21 Days Later, all the movies they've been conditioning you with for the last 20 years, virus outbreaks.
Right.
All that stuff is happening now. So people are now open to change. So this is why I said this is my time to finally speak. Because when you study this stuff for so long, like I'm studying this, the reason I study this stuff is I'm trying to figure out what the ancients figured out so I can join them. Because you have to understand something. If you're a well-learned person, you've read an ignorant person. Ignorant person is somebody who's never been taught to read properly.
Omar, hold on. You broke up a little bit. You broke up when you said if you're a well-learned person, and then you broke up. Say it again.
Yeah. When you're a well-learned person, and then you're around somebody else who's unread, if you and the unread person come to the same conclusion, you know something's wrong. How is somebody like you who's read 1,000 books and somebody who read 2 books saying the same thing?
Right.
You know something's off about what you're saying because you're too enlightened, and this ignorant person for you guys to both come to the same belief. So you got to always wonder when you and somebody who's less read than you saying the same thing, you're probably wrong too. You got to go double check. There's no way you studied for 50 years, read thousands of books. This person's younger, and they claim they know what you know, and without putting in the work. So when you and an ignorant person come to the same conclusion, you got to check what you're saying. You're probably wrong too. So the way you gauge if you're right, an ignorant person should disagree with you, especially if they never did the back reading like you did. Their job is
an ignorant person should disagree with you, is what he said. Keep going.
Yeah, they should. Yes, they should. Because you look, you've been in the gym for months, you can bench press 300. They claim they can bench press 300, but you know that's a lie. They haven't hit one day in the gym, but they claim they know what it's like to bench press 300. It's a lie. So it's the same thing. If you and somebody who's never hit the gym and they're claiming they can keep up with you in the gym, you should just know that's a lie. They can get there one day. They can get to the level you are. They just have to go through the same process. Everybody can get there while you're alive. You have time to get to the same level. But you don't want to make an ignorant person and you end up on the same page. It means that you're doing something wrong. So for me, I stayed quiet. And it's only now I decided, because everybody's susceptible to change. The global world is going through a traumatic change. Trauma opens up people for change, just like 9/11. 9/11 happened. They put cameras everywhere. You agree now. Now they're going to tell you have to scan yourself just to get into buildings. You're going to agree with it because you're open to change. So the point is, I know people are open to change. So I said, let me start talking. People have been begging me for years to talk, and I just refused. People said, when are you going to write a book? And I just said, man, I'm just trying to learn this for myself so I can join. Wherever the ancestors say they're going, that's where I want to go. If these people are claiming all this heaven, this hell stuff, we're going to go to heaven to get virgins. How are you going to go to heaven to get virgins? You're not embodied anymore. You don't have any genitals anymore. How are you going to see grandma when you have no eyeballs anymore? There's no air in the spirit world. You can't breathe any oxygen. There's no blood circulating anywhere. So how are you going to feel pain in the spirit world? How are you going to burn in hell if you can't feel pain receptors? The stuff they would say doesn't make any sense. You have to basically say the human traits, breathing, gravity is in the next world. That's what they're telling you. They're telling you the same pain you feel here, you're going to get it in the next world too, when that's bullshit. You can't have sex in the spirit world. So how are you going to get virgins in the spirit world? There's no phallic, there's no vaginas. But people believe this stuff. So,
man, I'm so excited that we in here talking about this real. Again,
yeah.
You were the first to philosophize. Our people on the planet Earth. Our people were the first to consider a higher being, a wider spectrum of consciousness. And our people saw nature and deified nature. Geb, Shu, Ra. And we're just talking about our little brother, Kemet. We're not talking about all over Africa. There's Oya, Oshun, Yemeya, Eshu, Obatala,
yes.
right? So many other names.
Yeah.
We are the impetus of this thought on the planet Earth all over the world. Mm-hmm. And when this white man, this white supremacy came into play, they were jealous, envious, and covetous of your understanding and the cultures that you created. And so they decided to usurp it. And once they usurped it, they created a whole new definitionary for you to believe in.
Yes.
You are casting their spells with their books for their edification. So when I hear somebody ask the question, were the slaves and the slave master praying to the same God? And which
That's
one
thing I always wanted to talk about. That's the thing. Our people are really delusionally thinking you want to join these people in the spirit world when you pass on. Like, think about it. You think if they didn't give you equality here while you're in the physical, why would they try to give you the information to get to this higher heavenly place one day? If they didn't give you equality here, why would you think, well, we all going to this heaven thing? We're all going to rise up and join grandma, grandpa, whoever else is up there. Me, I'm not saying there's no afterlife. I'm just saying that the version that they're telling us. Why would we even want to join the oppressor in where they say they're going? They say they're going to go join Cousin Ray Ray or whatever, in heaven. Why would us now want to go to the same, sail on the same river as where they're going? The problem is we're not. It's almost like the planet is fragmented in two species or something. I swear to God. I can't prove this, but you have some people that are focused on the soul, cultivate this inner being within them. Then you have another group that's only focused on the body, satisfying the body.
Say that.
Making it look a certain way, changing it up to look a certain way because they only have one life. They want to get surgery. They have to look a certain way. In our culture, if you're not tall, maybe in the next life you'll be tall. If you're not pretty now, in the next life you'll be pretty. If you're handsome now, maybe in the next life you'll be ugly. It's not one exist. Your soul, that fragment of a star, doesn't occupy one vessel. It needs multiple vessels over multiple lifetimes to fully cultivate itself and understand its purpose here. You can't learn a star, a fragment of a star, or a soul cannot learn its full purpose in 20 years on this rock that's been here. This rock been here for millions, and you think 20 years or 50 years or 80 years is all it takes for your soul to complete its journey and join God one day. Like, It's like you don't realize you're unripe fruit. You're thinking the universe wants to pick you and eat you or bring you back to heaven. You're not even ripe yet.
You're not ripe.
Your body's old.
You're
Your
not
body
ripe
ages. Your body ages, but the soul, look how it goes. The older your soul gets, the brighter it gets.
Yes.
The stronger it gets.
Yes.
The older your body gets, the weaker it gets. So
Yes.
it's a trade-off. The more knowledge you get while you're here, you're learning, bad, good, ignorance, knowledge, your soul is actually sucking that up.
Mm-hmm.
So the older a soul gets, the brighter it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
The older a body gets, the weaker it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's trading. When your soul first comes here, it's young. It doesn't know much.
Right.
So it takes multiple lives for it to get brighter and brighter. It trades bodies like how you trade cars.
Right.
You have the Lamborghini, you have a Rolls Royce. You upgrade each lifetime to a new car, the new car with better genetics. Now you can run faster. Now you can jump higher.
Now
like
wait.
you're graduating to a better vehicle to experience this life.
Now wait, watch
Now,
this.
with your-
Watch this, because I'm gonna throw it right back to you. Science is in step with that.
Yeah.
They say everything because of the discovery of quanta by Einstein, the quantum realm, then even below the quantum, well, nucleus, atom, atomic,
Yeah.
quanta,
Yeah, atomic part.
nucleus, quanta, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And what they found is the universe is fragmented.
Yeah.
Apply what Omar just said. You think 80 years is enough to get an understanding of why you here in the first place. Now, put that on relationships. You think one relationship, you gonna find the one? That's not how it works. The relationships give you fragments of yourself via the spiritual mirror that it provides. So again, I've said many times, sometimes you may need to go through 10, 15, 20 relationships to get maybe one or two solid answers about who the fuck you are.
Yes. Yes.
Do you
yes.
see? So he's saying over lifetimes. I had a conversation with a shaman before. I've told this story before. The shaman said to me, he said, your ancestors are talking to me and they keep repeating the number 962. And I said, well, what is 962? What does that mean? What significance is that? Is it numerology? And he said, no, it's how many lives you've lived. He said, you are 962 lives old.
Yes.
He said, it's rare that human beings get to 1,000 lives. He said, you're getting ready to transition out of this class. And he said, what you'll find in this life and the few lives you have left, he said, you're going to attract young souls. Because your job is to pass off information to the young souls. Talk to me.
Let's get into that. This is where ancestors come in. Now understand this. I'm summarizing this stuff for you. I'm trying to use English to summarize it, so I'm baby-fooing it to people. After your soul gets all this information, it's getting enlightenment each lifetime. It learned not to touch the fire, you get burned. It learned not to trust this person. It learns to discern from different people. It learned not to do the ignorant stuff it did before. And it just seems focused. That's when your soul has finally reached, you become an old soul. Every soul comes here young. The reason, let me explain something to you. The reason we can't remember past lives, you have to understand. Every time a new body is created, it's new genetics from the father, new genetics from the mother. Your soul entered that woman's womb through the uterus. Your light, again, remember, that fragment of light that came from a star, like Beyonce showed in her Black is King, fell into a woman's womb through the woman's uterus. That's why women's uteruses are meant to hold light, like the moon. Let me say that again. Women's uteruses are meant to carry light like the womb does, like the moon. So listen carefully. When you look at attributes of the goddess Het-Heru, you'll notice she has this cow bovine shape. Her face is literally shaped like a woman's uterus with cow ears. Because the ancients realized this uterus is where these souls come through to get to the physical world.
Mm.
So my point now is, when the souls come through this woman's uterus after 9 months of developing within her womb, she builds a body. She builds a cop for the fragment of light within this body. It comes out 9 months later. When you come out, you have a brand new car, no mileage yet, brand new brain. Your soul, your fragment of a star, cannot download all that past life in a baby's brain. So you come here thinking this is your first life. You're basically, let me say that again. A brand new brain is not even fully, a baby's, 1 week old, can't download all the information from a past life into its head. So when you come here, you think this is your first life every time you come here. As you grow, though, you start getting traits. Your parents see you have a talent. They don't know where it came from. You seem to talk like you're grown. You seem to talk like a kid that knows more than the other kids. That's when fragments of your past self is starting to seep through you. You have some talent that other kids don't have. You're around 100,000 kids, and there's only a few children got some skill, like Michael Jackson.
Right.
He came back dancing and singing at 5 years old. Women would say he knew how to sing to them like he was grown. And
like he was grown. Right. And that's what the shaman told me. The shaman said, it's very rare that I meet an ancient soul.
Yeah.
He said, I've met old souls, but I have
Yeah.
yet, he said, I don't meet ancient souls very often. He said, you're an ancient soul. You're getting ready to transition.
Yes.
So here we are right now in this moment, and I'm living a type of purpose. And that purpose is to be a facilitator of information.
Yes.
Right? So people gravitate to that. People come into that space, and hopefully they can get a fragment, as you said before, get a fragment of something that can jumpstart them along a particular path. Now,
Yes.
this was our spiritual practice.
Yes.
And this is how we migrated through time, through generations, right? Your grandmother down south would see your brother's new baby and say, bring the baby here so I can see which one of us came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand? This is how we get, listen, watch how I flip this, Omar. All you ladies out there talking about he wasted your time, it's impossible. You came here for that experience. If science can tell you right now that the universe is finely tuned, and it makes them question, because science is basically atheist. But that's because of Descartes when he separated God, spirituality from science. Right? But how then going through the shit you went through wasn't for you? It's for you because you're getting incremental, fragmental pieces of your story, of your answer. Now, watch how you do this. You think because you read a book and you shared it with your woman, she's supposed to read it and get the same thing you got from it?
No.
Y'all have a shared experience, but you can't share your individual experience except via spells that you didn't write.
Yes. Yes.
Talk to us, Omar.
So what I'll say to that is, when you come here, you have a brand new brain. You got to remember, every child born is a brand new brain. You can't download information from a past life here. You're focusing on this life now. So you're focusing on the name that they gave you now. You're focused on the neighborhood you live in now. You're focused on the kids your friends are now. You're focusing on the success or the oppression or whatever type of life you're born in. You're focused on the here and now. Past parts of you bleeds into here. As I said, it comes through a skill, talent. Parents always said these kids seem to know a little bit more than I did when I was young. They're growing up fast these days. So what I'll say to them is, as your soul comes here, it basically, each lifetime is accumulating information. It's accumulating mileage. Eventually, your soul reaches a cap limit. Basically, you're trying to get your soul so enlightened, that fragment of light, that soul that started off as a dim light, You're trying to cultivate it so each lifetime it gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it cannot even get a body. Your soul will almost get so enlightened it can't even get human bodies anymore. This is when you become an ancestral spirit. That information you accumulated in all the multiple lifetimes is giving you so much wisdom. Your soul is trying to get a body and it's being rejected. It's almost like you can say a miscarriage is a way of women trying to bring something here and it couldn't come. Like you can almost look at a miscarriage as a soul that thought it was good, but it just access denied. So you're trying to become this ancestral spirit. Your soul is so bright it no longer qualifies for this lower physical flesh. As an ancestral spirit, your job now is to partake the wisdom you accumulated on those who are still living.
Look at that. Look at that. The ancestors are never dead. Science has proven that too. The second law, it's in the holographic relationship book. Go get your book. I call it relationship entropy. Right? The first law of entropy or thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics is energy can never be destroyed. It can only change form. The second law of thermodynamics is entropy. That means the longer something goes on, the longer something persists, the more it begins to break down into chaos. Remember the chaotic waters of creation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Again, just because it's chaotic doesn't mean the energy isn't still there. It just means you don't have access to the energy. So a lot of times in relationship, you lose that spark, right? Because it's gone on in a monotonous pattern. Do you see? There's no learning. There's no growing. There's just repetition. So now you move into a space of relational entropy. Now you can't access the energy that was there in the beginning when the spark was first present. This happens spiritually. You come here, like Omar said, you don't remember the other lives because it's in a state of entropy. Another term for entropy in science is hidden information. And how this information gets revealed to and through you is via relationship, which is the mirror of your spirit. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as an ancestral spirit, your job, look, African elder, a tribal elder dies. He is an amalgamation of thousands of people that came before him. The information you know what movie people need to watch? You need to watch the movie Ip Man. Ip Man, if you ever saw that movie.
The Ip Man,
It's
yes.
when the Chinese invaded Japan and he was in a tournament fighting. When you see him doing all those moves, what you don't realize, he's doing those moves so fast, he's a culmination of thousands of masters behind him. They had to figure out moves each lifetime. By the time it got to him 1,000 years later, he's able to execute 50 different moves that took 1,000 years for him to accumulate. So when you watch these Chinese masters, they're the accumulation of dozens and dozens of predecessors behind them. He's just the modern cultivation of all that back work. So when you see him doing all those moves, those moves in the movie, you always got to remember, it's not him. It's him and all the ancestors behind him that lived through him now. So what you have to understand now, as an ancestor, your job now is to partake wisdom onto the living. So what the ancient Africans would do is they all right, look, when you want to go to eat, you go around a table, right? When you want to go to the bathroom, you go to the toilet, right? When you want to cook, you go to a stove, right? When you want to talk to ancestors, where do you go?
You go to an altar.
They go to a shrine.
Yeah, a shrine.
Create
Altar.
a shrine to focus. African shrines. The pharaohs had giant shrines, which they call temples, but most people had like a microwave. It's a small shrine. You put a deceased ancestor, you put candles, you bring things to offer to their spirit. You bring food,
yes.
bring water. It's not for them to drink. It's to acknowledge they're there, whether you can see them or not. Because guess what? You too one day will become a spirit. So you want to encourage your children, your friends, family to acknowledge the ones that came before them. So when you pass on, they will also acknowledge you. That acknowledging maintains a connection beyond the physical. That way, the wisdom you gain in this life, you can now guide people. The way spirits speak to you, they use your own voice in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say a spirit speaks to you, you're not hearing a voice of somebody, you're hearing your own thoughts in your head.
Mm-hmm.
That's how now you have mediums. Mediums are people that's psychic. People have certain talents. Just everybody has different talents. There's people called mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Mediums are what they call psychics. Psychics, when they read you, they're not reading you. They're reading what the spirit, for example, physical time and spiritual time is not the same. The time we experience in the physical world, the 24 hours a day, the gravity, all of that causes the 24-hour cycle. In the spirit world, there's no time. There's no distance.
Right.
So it takes you 12 hours to get to China from here. In the spirit world, a split second you can get from point A to point B.
Right.
It's not distance and time. So the point now is spirits can go ahead of time almost.
Right.
To see what you're going to... Time here is slow. Time there is fast.
Right.
So a spirit can see what's going to happen to you before it does. So what a psychic does, they listen to those spirits that follow you. Everybody has spirits around them, whether they acknowledge them or not, whether they're ignorant or not. The reason they follow you is because they once shared the same DNA you now occupy. So if you're trained to ignore them and you're talking to Jesus or God now, they're still with you if you're ignoring them because they're linked to you because of genetics.
Right.
So what a psychic medium does, they listen, they're trained to listen to that hidden voice through their mind to relay information onto you.
Right.
So when you hear a psychic tell you, oh, this is going to happen to you, it's not them. They're just channeling through that spirit that's been around you your whole life that knows what you're going to go through if you ever listen to it. When something told you, I shouldn't do that, I shouldn't go down that road, and you went down and got hit by a car, they were trying to tell you, and you didn't want to listen.
Right.
They use your own voice. You shouldn't talk to that girl. You should, and you just think, man, she looked too good, or he looks too handsome. Something is telling you, but you're trained in this life, because we don't know this, you're trained to not listen to that inner voice.
Right.
When you don't listen to that inner voice, that's when you end up in trouble. So
right.
what
Now,
you're
there's two things.
now is,
There's two things I want to point out because you're on a hell of a roll. There's two things. The cartoon, the Nickelodeon cartoon, the Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's connected to every avatar that has ever existed. Every avatar that has ever existed is his ancestor.
Yes.
And throughout the damn cartoon, different previous avatars manifest themselves to him with life lessons.
Yes. Yes.
That's one thing.
Yes.
The other thing, Star Wars with Rey. At the end, when she killed Palpatine, all the Jedi, she said, I'm all the Jedi. They all are her ancestors, and she used their power to defeat Senator Palpatine.
To help defeat, yes.
Now,
exactly.
Jesus in your churches has an altar. You come to the altar to give yourself to him. Mm-hmm. See, they want to villainize your culture while at the same time co-opting it and demonizing it. Again, if I control your narrative, your spiritual narrative, your self-narrative, I control your self-esteem through bio-survival tickets called money. I control your self-worth based on what you've accomplished in the world that I created. See, we live in their matrix, their definition of what it is to be successful, what it means to be in love, what it means to be happy. We are striving and aspiring to reach the goals that they've set for themselves and us. But they keep themselves above us based on definitions we've bought into. Where's your altar? When's the last time you talked to your great-grandmother? She might not be here, but she is here in you. The DNA is still alive in you.
Yes.
Omar just said the voice is in you. Come on, man, finish it off.
The reason I brought this up is because within Black is King, you hear Beyonce reference to spirits and ancestors. According to the Christian mind, that would be, she's demonic. She's talking about unseen forces, is devil worshiping. I just explained to you, summarize. This is summary. This is not the full explanation. I'm giving you a quick summary for the time we have, the short time we have left now. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to explain to you fragment pieces that hopefully you'll be able to utilize some of this and then go into further reading And the Blackest King, Beyonce did an incredible job with that piece. The way she tied it in, she used Disney's backing, which is the way she had to use their financing. She did the Lion King character, then she made a deal with them that you have to allow me to do a certain part, and then they agreed. She used their financing to almost create a mini movie. She almost outdid Michael Jackson with this production. The way Michael Jackson used to do.
This is Michael Jackson level stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
This is Michael Jackson level stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But she needed their backing. She almost needed their funding distribution because even she did it, she couldn't put on Tidal. Tidal is everybody's not subscribed to Tidal. Disney has more reach, so she utilizes them to get a message out. So you have to see this the chess move. She had to sacrifice part of the ownership to put a message out that would outlive her. She dedicated to her son at the end. She used Disney's platform. Disney can't hide this now. They put this out, and they're going to run it for the next 50 years on whatever platform in the future. And it will spark the mind of Africans in the future.
Mm-hmm. And she's not a devil worshiper. I'm sorry you ain't. First off, your book teaches you not to read nothing else. Your book tells you all you need is faith. You don't need knowledge. But at the same time, it says my people die or destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Now, which one you going to be? You going to be faithful or what are we doing? Go get the knowledge. The knowledge is there for you. But let me just say this before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because somebody is asking me where I got the shirt. Omar, tell them where they can get this, man.
All right. That's the Nubian king Taharka. He's the last great Nubian that fought to defend Africa against the Assyrian invasions at the time. Taharka ruled a unified Nubia and Egypt at the time during the 25th dynasty. He was one of the last brothers to hold the entire empire. At that time, Egypt and Nubia was the largest country, landmass in the world for one person to rule. He was the last person fighting to push back foreigners from invading. And in the battle, he made the greatest sacrifice. He lost his wife and his son during that war. They were trapped in the palace at Memphis. The Assyrians took Memphis, and he never got to see his wife again. So he was one of the last brothers that lost his wife and his son trying to defend the continent against invaders.
Wow.
So Taharka is one of the last great African kings we had.
Where did they get the Taharka t-shirt?
You go out on the website, www.ramomarny.com. It's in the men's t-shirt section.
Man, I want you guys to cash mob him big time. Here's an opportunity to address some of our followers, Omar. I've been rocking with Omar for at least 5 years now. And my fans have been rocking with him too. And Omar, like I said, Omar is an artist extraordinaire. You got to put your pinky up. Artist extraordinaire, right? And what I've seen him evolve into over the past 5 years is also a businessman. Before, he was just concerned about his art. But now, he's got his business together. So I tell a lot of people who maybe, I didn't get my package, I didn't get my order. Me and Ramomar, we got a system. They'll email me and I'll email him, and then he'll get back to them and make sure that they get their stuff together. And that's what we've been doing for years. But now his whole business is different. Tell him about, you have a fulfillment center now, right?
Yeah, yes.
Talk to him about the packaging and the preparation and all the stuff that goes into getting people their product.
Yeah, so right now we're working on a new system. We're working on new packaging, so our products will come going forward. We're working on it now. Our products will come in boxes now, come with tissue paper, basically presented differently, presented more high-end luxury now. Because all the designs, over 5,000 designs now over the last, since 2007 I started the company. So what we're going to be doing now, we're going to offer more products online soon. Matter of fact, this behind me is one of the fabrics. Every fabric you see, the product, women, I've designed all the fabrics, all the patterns. So anything you buy from us, it's designed in-house. I recommend people, please stop supporting random companies that show up in your feed. These are Chinese companies.
Talk to them about that.
They target black people. They put, I love my black hair. They create these fake pages and they create ads. Chinese companies put 100,000 on Facebook. And we're just buying these random products. I love my hair. Black fist. you're supporting Chinese people when you need to follow designers. Study what Europeans do. They don't just, they follow Tom Ford, Marc Jacobs. These are people, they're supporting the person that they know created this stuff. When you're buying random dashiki prints from China, you're really supporting Chinese. You don't know who created that pattern. You don't even know if they stole that pattern and they just buying it from some random person. So I encourage people, please support creative people. Find out who's creating what you're buying. This is why European brands grow. They're supporting Coco Chanel. They're supporting Gucci family, not just random people that hustle some fabric and trying to sell it to you. So as I said, what we do the same model. We create our own fabrics, our own textiles. We don't just randomly buy fabric from somebody. The European brands, they create designs every season from scratch. That's what we do. We don't. So I encourage people to support us. It's been going on to year 15, and I appreciate all the support over for the last 15 years, and I appreciate the support to come in the future.
Man, oh man, Shavitz. Listen, don't forget to hit the brother's Cash App if you appreciate. Put it. Okay, you can take her down now. Woo, Lord. Don't forget to hit the brother's Cash App, $ Ram Omar, if you really appreciated this brother's insight and information that he shared with us today. It's 556 people in here. Thank you for bearing with us. We normally have way more people in here, but the internet was tough for us today. But we're going to piece this show back together and then we're going to re-upload the whole show. But let me just say this right now. Do your boy Zoe Williams a solid. It's 546 people in here. If everybody gave